Alright, hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about how to spend your selectors in Umamusume with some careful decision making. The reason I'm doing this video is because of some of the decisions that I've seen on the streams and Discord, and I just want to add on my experience to you guys so that you can understand what are the general principles of using these selectors wisely. Because these selectors are really worth 30,000 carats each, no fuss, no RNG. Here is the guaranteed card that you are looking for, or the guaranteed Uma that you are looking for. Right, so next we are going to talk about how many selectors you are going to actually be getting. If you are a paid player, you're getting 2 extra selectors, one Uma selector and one support card selector. These will come with 1500 paid carats and also cost around 20 bucks, but it depends on your country. Your exchange rate might vary, alright? So just take note of that. There's also going to be one free support card selector that is going to be, I believe, in the ticket form. It's going to be the first anniversary ticket, which allows you to go and select anything before the first anniversary, right? So if you are an F2P who doesn't want to spend a single dime on this game, you will only get one, but if you do pay, you will be able to get 2 extra selectors for Uma and also for one for card, right? So the general rule of thumb for the selectors is that you always pull first before you use the selectors. What do I mean by this? Let's take an example of this period of time where you have the fine motion banner, right? You just spent 400 pulls on the banner and you got 300 LB fine motion. Now you want to ask, hey, do you want to use the selector to MLB the fine motion? But this answer is actually not so easy, right? Wow, I should get MLB right now? Actually, no. You actually might even want to save this selector for another banner in the future, right? There's another support card banner, example Narita Top Road, right? Or if you don't want Narita Top Road, also Esmaru can do that, right? These will give out some free pulls for Narita Top Road, and what happens is that, do you want to use your selector just for fine motion to get to the MLB? No, you wait first, because Narita Top Road has free pulls. So if you are aiming for MLB fine motion and you are looking at the selector real hard, you should wait first, because when you pull Narita Top Road banner, a random off-rate fine motion can just appear, right? And if a random off-rate fine motion appears there and you already dumped the selector, you are going to feel the worst feeling ever, right? So don't use it first. If you are planning to pull any upcoming banners for support cards first, then you should pull those first. Notably, it will be the Narita Top Road free pulls, but this will apply for the future also when it comes close to anniversary times, right? So just take note of all of this, alright? Pull first, see what the RNG is going to give you, and if you are thinking about using your gems first or just full dumping all your selectors, make sure you consider using the gems first, because you can also just randomly get really lucky, right? So this is just really all up to you. Pulling first is just a generally good thing to do first, then you use the selector, right? Do not use the selector first, because that is the all-in option. No chance of any RNG giving you the best feeling in the world. It's only just fixed, hey, here is the 3LB that you got for, right? After that, we have the card selector, right? We'll talk a little bit more thoroughly here with the card selector. You always prioritize cards that have meta relevance throughout the scenario that you are currently playing, right? The big 3 are just the ones that last the longest. Kitasan Black is like a good old reliable car, right? Can always bring you to the place that you want to. There may be other stuff like Lamborghinis and Ferraris, like Esmaru Fukus, but there's always the good old reliable Kitasan Black that you can fall back on, even if they are power creeping her by a significant amount, right? Fine Motion will be basically the best wit card all the way until Ramonu, and after the arc, you will basically not be able to use Fine Motion anymore, because most of the CMs will just be mediums and miles, which means Ramonu will be the best skill card in general also, right? Super Crit will always be a no-brainer whenever there is also a long CM, right? Super Crit is a mandatory card, especially for horses who are going for a 3200 CM, right? For people who are saying, oh, but actually for that long CM, we only needed to get a certain amount of stamina. Well, that's Arima Kinan. That one's a fake long CM, right? So we don't consider that one. But later on, there will be true longs, like 3200. Holy shit, that's super tough. Super Crit will always be dragged out at that point. Okay, now this decision will also be determined by the state of your account, right? I've explained this beforehand. Choosing what cards that you want to actually select is like checking a client's background for like insurance, right? I need to know what your account has. I need to know whether you're F2P, you're light spender, you're whale, what's your pool plan, what are your cards right now, what's your deck gonna look like for the upcoming scenario, do you care about the scenario? Some people actually skip the whole make a new track because they just don't like it. So some people can actually go and full save for the entire scenario and then they'll go and play the game later. Some people literally will do that, right? So it's just up to the client's decision ultimately, right? So let's say an account has 3 LV Kitasan Black, 2 LV Fine Motion, 1 LV Super Crate. Maybe that's you never know, right? You have 2 selectors available and you don't know who to use it on. Most of the SSR cards will unlock their full potential at 3 limit break. So Kitasan Black already is of the lower priority. Why? Because Fine Motion at 2 and Crick at 1, holy shit, who would want to use those cards, right? But if they were 3 limit break, you would say, hey, I can cope with this card, right? Yeah, that's exactly what they are, right? So those are the more priority ones. For example, Super Crick, this is going to be a very good stamina card used for the long tracks, probably some medium tracks that require more stamina than usual. So this card is not the most generalist card, right? But Fine Motion is the best generalist wit card in general, right? Sprint, mild, medium, long, you just try to force Fine Motion. So that means that if you have selectors to spare, you would dump it into Fine Motion because it will make your account go from poverty to very, very good, right? What about the second selector? You already have a 3 LB Kitasan Black. You have 3 LB Fine Motion already, right? And you only have 1 limit break of Super Crick. What you need to do here is actually just save the selector. Why? Because you still have a few more banners to go and pull on. A 2 LB Super Crick is really not going to change your life, but if you randomly get a Super Crick and then you use the selector to 3 LB Super Crick, well, now she's very usable. That's very, very good, and that will change your life because now you don't have to borrow Super Crick anymore, right? It's usable at that level already, right? An example would be the upcoming long CM 3200 meters. Super Crick is going to be extremely important to the point that everyone is just borrowing Super Crick, right? Everyone will go and borrow it, but you, because you go and randomly pull on Narita Top Road, boom, Super Crick. Okay, now you have a 3 LB because you put one more selector inside, bam, right? Now you don't have to borrow Super Crick, your deck can borrow another SSR, and that will make you much, much stronger, right? But thankfully, after that first CM, there will no longer be any long CM on Make a New Track. So Super Crick's value will drop after that long CM. It's like, long CM, wow, Super Crick, I have it, I'm happy. After that, whatever, I have Super Crick, who cares, right? That's when Fine Motion will just be, hey, I'm Fine Motion, I'm here for the long, the medium, the mild, and the whatever, right? Literally, that's what happens. Okay, so now what happens if you already have all of your cards MLB? Most likely, you won't even need the selector, right? But there are some other cards that you can go and use selectors for, right? You got Nice Nature, which has 15% race bonus, basically the second best wit card in the game. You got Biko Pegasus, also a very solid 10% race bonus, very good training effectiveness card, very good stat stick, not a very good skill stick, but it's one of the best stat sticks. You also got Sakura Bakushino, 10% race bonus, also a pretty good stat stick, and you also got a lot of other niche cards that you can go and consider if you are using them for like ace hunting or parent hunting. For example, you want to go and get Uma Stan, can you get Yeno Muteki, you want to get Head On plus Restless Spark, you can use like Speed Mayano, blah blah blah, right? These are all of the other things that you can go and use those selectors on if you just are hunting for very niche cards, right? But for the true gems, the gems, right? I don't want you to go and use them on cards like these. Just use those gems for the future in general. Okay, now moving on to selectors for Umas. This also really depends on what type of player you are. The number one priority on the selector list is 100% always the favorite horse. If she is your favorite horse, go and get her. Don't care how good or bad she is because you enjoy playing her, right? The summary of this is not really just favorite, it's more like I really enjoy this horse, I really want to play this horse. Then you go and take that horse. Because when you're playing that horse, you feel happy. When you're not playing that horse, you feel sad. That's just how it is. Okay, so if you're someone who also spends a lot of time playing this game, another priority that you can do is actually hunting down for a meta-relevant parent. So Umas like New Year Opera O, Narita Bryan, Maruzensky, Taiki Shuttle, Oguri Cap, all of these are horses that have some generally good uniques to go and pass to your children, right? Dober, for example, all these others, right? Anything with a very usable unique, go and hunt them down because they are very, very good. But if you are someone who don't have time to go and grind for parents, just pick a horse that you are actually going to play and just perma borrow the parents. That's also perfectly fine. Okay, if you're just confused and you really don't know what is really one of the best horses in terms of the meta right now, right? Christmas Oguri is just extremely powerful on Make a New Track. She has very low stamina requirements. She's very OP on some of the upcoming medium tracks. You can legit solo ace 2 debuffers and you will get crazy high win rate. Dominators are dominators. So it's just a very, very insanely broken horse. Okay, V Bourbon is also the easiest frontrunner to make. She comes with groundwork, early lead, frontrunner savvy, concentration, right? These are also some of the very, very awesome stuff that you can use on the V Bourbon to go and basically make her very, very powerful. Okay, at the end of the day, the Uma Selector is less restrictive compared to the support card Selector, since Uma dupes are worth nothing at all. Once you get the 3-star horse, you do not even need to raise them to 4 or 5. It's a very minor stat increase, right? But the general rule of thumb still holds for Uma Selectors as well. If you're pulling for an Uma in the near future after getting a Selector, wait for that time and see what you get before selecting the said Uma, right? Like let's say I want to pull for the Kitasan Black, okay, just go and pull for the Kitasan Black banner and see if you can randomly get the Taiki Shuttle, then you can save the Selector, right? Same logic, okay, same logic. Always pull first and then Selector later. With all that information, you're probably going, wow, this is more complicated than I thought it would be. You are correct. Right, the Selectors are worth 30,000 carats. You don't want to be anyhow just full dumping them in order to make your deck very strong, right? These gems are lifesavers, especially for the F2P players, so you must be very careful when you want to use these. Okay, for support cards, always remember, most of the time, making them 3LB is way more important than making them MLB, since 3LB means you can save the borrow slot. The borrow slot allows you to borrow other niche cards. For example, Mant. Throne is a very good card to borrow, not to pull, but to borrow. And you let the whales pull it, and then you borrow the whale card, right? So having no required cards in that borrow slot will make you extremely powerful when the Throne card comes out, for example. Okay, that's just one of the many examples. In the future, there will be more niche cards to hunt down, right? So that is pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you need any other help with the gacha aspect, please go to the Discord. The Discord has plenty of people who roughly know what they need to do already. And then if you need me to help you out, please join me on YouTube live streams or Twitch live streams, or you can go through my Ko-fi if you need a direct message to me. Okay, so that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. Good luck on all of your pulls, and good luck on the decision making for the Selectors. It is not a very easy decision. Bye bye.